Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Zarnok Gaming. Today we're going to be taking a look at the L3 Screamer of the current season. I'm super excited to talk about this boss with you guys. There's a lot of interesting stuff with his baiting mechanics and his ability mechanics that we're going to talk about, especially on this map with the limited high ground. And I'm going to be using my set of characters, but I want you to know that there are definitely other characters that this bait strategy is viable for. So even if you don't have Ragnar and Ulf or so on and so forth, I mean, you might not be able to put up these numbers. I don't want you to worry about that. But before we jump in here, I just do want to take a second to thank everyone who has supported me through referral codes, and also to remind you guys that I'm really looking for subscribers. I'm really trying to hit 1K here, so please subscribe below, share the video with your friends. I'm going to keep putting out Guildbrave videos where I talk about mechanics and hopefully help you guys out. So today in this boss fight, we are going to be taking with us Ragnar with a gun equipped, unlike Rogel Dorm when we put a knife on him. Ulf, Calgar. My Ulf has a level 50 passive for what's worth, and maxed out armor gear, which is important for making sure that Ragnar gets thrown instead of Ulf. And then we're going to have Athana with us, as well as Eldrion. I put my higher gun on Eldrion because Eldrion's going to attack every turn except for the first turn during the bait, whereas Athana is only going to attack on the very final turn. All right, let's jump right in. All right, so here we have a left start on the current Screamer map. What's really important to talk about here, I would have loved to have gotten this video out the first cycle, but unfortunately I only got a chance to attack Screamer one time, and I did a poor job of baiting. My goal was to bait Screamer to these three targets. Unfortunately, these three tiles, unfortunately that's practically impossible. The reason being that if Screamer can use the ranged attack to follow instinctive behavior within range 2 of an enemy, it will. So when you're baiting Screamer, Screamer's always going to attack the nearest enemy and always in the way that deals the most damage. Well, this high piercing plasma hit does tons of damage. And so does Death Scream. So if you give it the ability to use a ranged attack, it's going to, because the damage is so much higher than the physical attack of all the other abilities, right? So I tried to put 3 units here, here, and here by moving Calgar up 3, Ragnar up 4, and Athana to here. And as a result, he just shot either, it's the same animation, so I'm not really sure, either Death Scream or ranged attack. He just shot Calgar and Ragnar and didn't move. So what we're going to do instead from this tile set, and from here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, so he can still reach the position I'm going to kite to from the right, but you would need to treat this Tyranid Warrior differently, because the position I'm going to kite him to, the way I open here, Ulf would be the nearest target, and we don't want him to attack Ulf. But Ulf's passive will kill these Tyranid Warriors because they always try and use their active ability right away. So if the boss starts here, you can still use this kite pattern to get the boss over here. You just need to place some sort of counter Ulf if you have it, or kill from a range these units. So I'm going to use Ulf right here and move Eldron up the side. And this is going to make the boss go right here because he is not within range 2, so he has to move to attack. And if he has to move to attack, somehow then he prefers to go ahead. Well, he can't move to right here. He prefers again to melee and use his spinner on 3 units, as we've seen on the other map. So there you go. The Tyranid Warrior went down, tried to use his active ability. Because he used his active, Ulf counterattacked. And now we have the boss within 2 tiles of high ground, which is perfect for the squad I'm using. Once again, like I said, if you're not using this squad, a lot of people are using like Thaddeus and Ra, for example. and maybe Bellator and Rivas to tank if you don't have Calgar, or if you have Calgar and Bellator to tank. There's still some really great strategies you can do to get Eldrion up to high ground eventually, get the unit that's getting thrown right here, who will get thrown over and behind, and have your high ground attacker right here, and you can get, Thaddeus and Ra onto these two tiles by moving them up the right side, and you can get a lot of high ground that way. So there's definitely a lot of options using this opening. For me, my first turn, my goal is to get these two units buffed by Calgar, buffed by Athana, and the boss under Doom. And because we have Ragnar injured at less total health, by enough to make the boss prefer hitting him. If Ulf's armor is much lower and the boss can do significantly more damage to Ulf, to get his total HP percentage lower than what attacking Ragnar will bring his total HP percentage to, then the boss suddenly seems to prefer to throw Ulf. We do not want the boss to throw Ulf, because Ragnar, if he comes into contact, gets 3 extra hits and extra crit damage, and we really want to capitalize on that. So you can see right away, we're up to 75k damage on our first turn encountering. And now, right there, we hit for 50k from high ground with Ragnar. That's with that passive hitting and with the high ground, and then being buffed by both these units and under Doom. So Ragnar, 10 hits, huge push. Now we're going to get Ulf to the high ground. We're going to buff him with Ragnar. We already buffed and attacked with Ragnar, so we're going to move Calgar and buff Ulf, and move Eldrion to the high ground as well. And use Calgar as active from the high ground. So now we're going to dance Calgar every turn. So first these guys attack, buffed by Calgar. And then Calgar moves, and then Ragnar attacks, buffed by Calgar. So you're not using Calgar as anything other than a buff tool. And now you can see you just go back and forth like this until you get to your final turn. And then we pop the active. And on the turn we get the active, we move Calgar into melee so that he can buff Ragnar, buff Athana, and attack himself. And you're going to see 318k. So a really nice hit. But again, you don't need to be using these units. The bait strategy is what's important in understanding Screamer's mechanics. He's going to attack at range 2 if you're within range 2, so you need to be able to pull him on low ground on this map. And there are definitely some other units here that can do a lot of damage from those high ground positioning if you have, the basic Gilbraid units that have become sort of meta over the last year. And that is all I have for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in once again. I appreciate anyone who supports the channel. Subscribe, like, share the video with your guild, and referral codes are always welcome. Thanks so much, guys, and happy hunting out there.